Starting over isn't actually the scary part. What's keeping you stuck is something much quieter, and once you name it, everything changes. I'm going to give you the exact 5-step process that helps women finally release the life they expected and step into the life of who they've actually become. I'm Dr. Linda, retired educator and nonprofit leader, and I help women over 50 reinvent their lives and build a meaningful next chapter without burning down everything they've spent decades building. By the end of this video, you'll have a 5-step framework not to force your old life back into shape, but to release it with dignity and finally open up space for what's actually next. So here we go. I want to tell you about a woman I know. She's in her 50s, accomplished, capable, the kind of woman that everyone goes to when things fall apart. But privately, she told me something she'd never said out loud before. By now, I thought I'd feel more settled. I thought I'd have a certain kind of marriage, a certain kind of security, and I thought I'd feel more finished, in a good way. She paused, and then she said something that stopped me. Instead, I feel a little embarrassed, like I missed a deadline that everyone else managed to make. If you've read my chapter in Strong Overcoming Adversity, then you know pieces of my story. I remember spending years feeling like I was behind everyone else. I worked my way through school, life took turns I never expected, my first marriage ended, and more than once I found myself looking around thinking, this wasn't supposed to happen like this. I thought certain things would happen on a certain timeline. I thought life would feel more settled. But one of the hardest lessons I eventually learned was this. Sometimes we're not grieving the life we have. We're grieving the life we thought we'd have by now. Maybe you felt something like that. Maybe it's a career that never quite became what you pictured. Maybe it's a relationship that looks different than you dreamed. Maybe it's the health you assumed you'd still have. Maybe it's the freedom you were certain would arrive by now. The specific dream varies, but the feeling, that quiet, persistent ache, like you owe the world an explanation for how your life turned out, that feeling's almost universal for women at this stage. And I need you to hear this clearly. That ache is not guilt. That ache is grief. And grief is not a sign that you failed. Grief is a sign that you loved something deeply and it didn't completely work out, and it's time to release it. So why is letting go so hard? Women tell me all the time, I know I need to move on. I know my life is actually good, so why can't I just let go? Well, here's the truth. Letting go feels like betrayal. Betrayal of the younger woman who worked so hard to build that dream. Betrayal of the people who believed your plan would work. Betrayal of the version of yourself who held on this long. But here's what I've come to understand after working with women in transition. Holding on to a dream that no longer fits isn't loyalty. It's prison. There's a saying that goes something like this. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And the same is true here. You cannot write the next chapter of your life while you're still rereading the same page over and over and over, looking for a different ending. And here's what no one prepares women for. After 50, the gap between the life you imagined and the life you're living doesn't just feel personal, it feels like a referendum on your worth. Did I choose wrong? Did I waste time? Am I too far gone to start again? The answer to all three of those questions is no. But we will never fully believe that until we understand what's actually happening beneath the surface. Before I walk you through the 5 steps, I need to dismantle 4 myths, because right now, one of them's probably the loudest voice in your head. Myth number 1, if my life didn't turn out the way I expected, I failed. The truth is, life paths aren't linear, they're layered. The version of you standing here now navigated things your younger self couldn't have imagined surviving. And that changes everything about what you're capable of next. Myth number 2, I should have known better. The truth is, you made the best decisions you could with the wisdom, the context, and the identity that you had at the time. That's not ignorance. That's being human. Myth number 3, it's too late to change directions. The truth is, research consistently shows that women in their 50s and 60s reinvent more successfully than almost any other age group. Not because they're lucky, but because they finally know what actually matters to them. Myth number 4, letting go means I wasted all those years. Nothing that grew was wasted. Nothing. Full stop. These myths are the lies. The truth is the doorway. Let's walk through it together. If you're still here, I want you to know something. The fact that you're watching a video called Starting Over After 50 tells me something very specific about you. It tells me you're ready, not just ready to feel better, but ready to actually move. So here's what I'm going to give you right now. The 5-step framework that I use with women who are exactly where you are. And I want you to pay particular attention to step 3, because that's the step that most women skip entirely. And it's the single biggest reason women stay stuck for years, longer than they need to. Here's the framework. 5 steps, each one builds on the last, so don't skip ahead. Step 1 is acknowledge what you actually expected. Before you can release something, you have to name it. I want you to think back to the woman you were in your 20s and 30s. What did she believe her 50s would look like? What did she picture when she imagined making it? What did she quietly promise herself? Write it down if you can, because naming it is the first act of release. You cannot grieve what you refuse to acknowledge, and you cannot release what you've kept tucked away in the dark. Most women skip this step because naming it hurts. But here's what I know. It hurts more to carry it unnamed than to say it once and begin to let it go. Step 2 is grieve the gap, for real. Between what you expected and what is, there's a gap. And that gap deserves to be grieved. Not wallowed in, not dramatized, but genuinely, honestly felt. Here's the thing about grief we don't talk about. We're trained to rush through it, to convert it into productivity, to call ourselves strong and keep moving on. But unexpressed grief doesn't disappear. It becomes resentment. And resentment becomes bitterness, and that bitterness becomes walls around your heart. Walls that keep out pain, yes, but also keep out possibility. Women who cannot let go are not weak. They're women who were never given permission to grieve what they hoped for. So I'm giving you that permission right now. The gap between what you imagined and what is real. It's valid. It's grievable. Feel it so you can finally release it. Step 3 is meet the woman you've actually become. This is the step most women skip, and it's the most powerful one. Because while you were grieving the woman you thought you'd be, you were quietly becoming someone else, someone more resilient than you were in your 30s, someone with hard-won wisdom that couldn't have bought it at any price, someone who finally knows what she actually wants, not what she was told to value. Ask yourself right now, who am I today, not then? What do I care about now that I didn't care about at 30? What have I let go of already and felt quietly relieved? What do I know now that I couldn't have known then? This step is not about feeling better. It's about meeting the woman who's been trying to introduce herself to you for years. She's been waiting, and she's far more interesting than the woman you were trying to become. Step 4 is release your younger self with compassion. Your younger self was not naive. She was hopeful. She worked hard. She loved deeply. She survived things she didn't know she was strong enough to survive. She built a life even when that life didn't cooperate with the plan. Releasing her story does not erase her. It honors her. It says, you did your part. You brought us to here. I've got it from here on out. And that's not defeat. That's the most profound act of self-compassion most women never allowed themselves. This is where most women find the first real full breath they've had in years, not because the grief is gone, but because they finally stopped fighting themselves. Step 5 is create space for the story that actually fits. Letting go is not about creating emptiness. It's about creating spaciousness. And in that space, things that couldn't reach you before finally can. New clarity, new relationships, new desire, new direction. Ask yourself what might be possible now that wasn't possible while I was holding on. What new dream fits this woman I've actually become? If I stopped trying to force the old story, what would I allow myself to want? This is where hope comes back. Not the hope of your 20s, untested and fragile, but the hope of a woman who's lived through the fire and chosen to walk forward anyway. And that kind of hope is unshakable. Now, before we move to your challenge, I have one question for you, and I genuinely want your answer in the comments below. What's one expectation you've been quietly carrying that you're now ready to release? You don't have to share the whole story. One word, one sentence in the comments, the career, the relationship, the timeline I wrote at 35, or whatever it is. Say it here in this community, because naming it out loud is where release actually begins. And I read every comment, so I'll be there. Now, if you follow my videos, then you know I'm not going to let you just watch this and go back to your day. So here's your challenge for this week. Choose the level that meets where you are right now. If you have 5 minutes, write down one expectation, just one, that you are ready to release. Paper, phone, journal, it doesn't matter where you write it, just write it. If you have 15 minutes, write down 3 things that matter to you now, not then. What you value today, what's real and alive in you right now. And if you're ready to go all in, write a short letter to your younger self. I release the life you imagined, and I honor the life I'm creating. That letter's not defeat, it's a declaration, and that declaration is the beginning of your next chapter. If today's video is landing for you, I want to offer you something that takes this even further. I created a free resource called the Reinvention Roadmap, built for women who are exactly at this crossroads. It takes you through a structured audit that helps you get honest about where you are, where you want to go, and what your most powerful next steps should look like. And if you're not sure where you even are in this reinvention process yet, start with a free next chapter quiz. It takes about 5 minutes and it gives you a clear picture of your starting point, so you're not guessing. Both are completely free. The links are right below this video in the description. Use these resources to move from stuck to clear and moving. I want that for you. Now, before you go, I want to prepare you for something. You just did the emotional work of releasing the life you thought you'd have. You named what you were carrying, you grieved the gap, you opened space for what's actually next. And that's real. That took courage. But here's what I've watched happen to women at this exact moment, and almost no one warns them about it. They get ready to move. They feel openness. They finally want to go, and then nothing happens. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, and not because they aren't ready, but because of 3 patterns that keep intelligent, capable women stuck even after they've done the emotional work. And the reason these patterns are so dangerous is that they don't look like self-sabotage. They look like responsibility. In my next video, I'm going to show you exactly what those 3 patterns are and how to recognize them before they cost you another year of your life. One of them is so normalized that most women actually believe it's a strength. If you're ready to stop letting invisible patterns run your life, the next video is for you. This is your time. Don't waste it trying to be who you were in your 20s and 30s. Be who you are now. I'm Dr. Linda, and I'll see you in the next video.